Master said, traditional kung fu lasts until the last point. This means desperately beating the enemy's weak points until they become unconscious. Soul-piercing Tokyo, becoming a struggling high school student. I only have my own household registration left, no sister, no house, no savings. I live in a miscellaneous room in the attic, and after eating, I worry about the next meal, and I am bullied everywhere when countless young girls are praising their youth is a painting of hell. Fortunately, he was able to endure this kind of injustice with his newly learned unrestricted fighting skills in his previous life. I'm a member of the art department who loves paper cuttings. What's wrong with carrying scissors with me? I'm also a trainee auto mechanic. Before you find fault, take a look at the large wrench in my hand. Don't panic when being falsely accused of sexual harassment by a girl in public. Pick up your weapon and have a serious life and death duel with her. Also, did you sneak a peek while I was taking the mud truck exemption exam? May I ask, what is youth? If the air is dirty, there is no need to read. Even if reversed, one can still live their true selves. The so-called daily life is a series of miracles. The girl smiled shyly, and the young man's eyes sparkled with dawn. Strolling through the 4 seasons with her, and then burning the city to ashes. Youth is like the bustling summer fireworks, just like the magnificent collapsed tower of Tokyo. A flash in the pan, intoxicating, heart-wrenching, and breathtaking. Let's play a game. The prize is the whole Tokyo and my heart. This is a young man full of martial arts, who doesn't tell his casual love stories in Tokyo, laughs, keywords of the novel. Tokyo people don't talk about martial arts, no pop-ups, Tokyo people don't talk about martial arts. Download the full text of the text, and Tokyo people don't talk about martial arts. Read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Bringing an umbrella on a sunny day, persuading people to be kind. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Bringing an umbrella on a sunny day, persuading people to be kind. In early May, Tokyo had already passed the cherry blossom season, and the cherry blossom trees on the roadside were withering like remnants of fire. Today is the first day of returning to school after the May Day Golden Week holiday. The morning class bell has not yet rang, and students are gathered in groups of 3 or 2 in the classroom, passionately discussing the latest news. The senior in the karate department confessed to me. What should I do? I'm so shy. The band Wude held a concert in Zyabes the day before yesterday, and I saw Boki Insho himself. Have you heard about the shooting incident in Akihabara? This is clearly a gun-banned country. How could there be such a terrifying case? The classmates were chatting when a frail young man with short black hair and a slightly gloomy complexion walked in. Oh, good morning, bookworm, one student casually said, while the other students symbolically joked and coaxed along. This young man's name is Kyushu Cheng, and he is the Gin Jiao of their second class in the second year. He is the gloomy character who is not good at socializing, afraid of being isolated, and often excluded. His parents are both hopeless gamblers. They went missing last year at the Kasashi's shop in Shinjuku's Kamomo-cho and are still missing. They either sank into Tokyo Bay or were sent to a fishing boat to pay off their debts. Due to family background issues, coupled with the surname Kyushu, people may think he is a rural bumpkin from Kyushu Island, and Kyushu Cheng has been excluded since he enrolled. And Kyushu Cheng himself voluntarily gave up all social activities, did not participate in any class or club activities, and studied alone all day, ranking among the top in grades. If Kyushu Cheng is a handsome guy, perhaps some people will be moved by his tenacious spirit and praise him as a studious and beautiful man who emerges from the mud without being stained. Unfortunately, his appearance is very ordinary, with a height of only about 1.7 meters. He is as thin as a bean sprout, and in terms of exercise, he is terrible. His whole body emits a musty smell of a rotten child, so he was nicknamed a bookworm. After all, this private Shojin college is just a low-end private school that can be admitted with money. Most people have to enter society after graduating from high school, so they naturally look down on bookworms who are studying hard and not good at socializing. Moreover, Kyushu Cheng's personality is as dull and cowardly as his appearance, just a submissive worm that will never resist. However, for some reason, today's Kyushu Cheng seems a bit abnormal. Now, even though it is sunny, Kyushu Cheng is carrying a long-handled umbrella and holding a heavy dictionary-like book in the other hand, reading while walking. A classmate was curious and noticed that there were several large characters written on the cover of the book, namely the criminal code of Heiji Kingdom. Kyushu Cheng ignored the monkey-like gaze of his classmates and walked straight to his seat. Immediately, he frowned. There is a photo frame on his seat, which contains his black and white photo. In the culture of the country of harmony, placing black and white photos and white vases on desks is used to pay tribute to classmates who have encountered accidents. But I don't know when it started, but this behavior gradually evolved into a prank tactic with the characteristics of the country. For Kyushu Cheng, such things are already commonplace. At the beginning, some classmates shouted at him, the son of a gambler, or the country bumpkin from Kyushu Island. He, with a cowardly personality, wanted to endure a moment of calm and tranquility, but instead, he suffered even more severe treatment. As for the teacher, this is a country with a detection rate of less than 3% for campus bullying. As long as there is no conclusive evidence, the teacher is helpless and can only symbolically advise, don't play too much. Kyushu Cheng picked up his black and white photo, his expression gradually becoming displeased. The other classmates around began to giggle. As usual, Kyushu Cheng would silently put the photo frame into his backpack and then reluctantly shut himself up for a whole day. However, at some point, Kyushu Cheng grabbed the edge of the frame with one hand and clenched his fist with the other. Click. The boy's fist smashed the glass of the photo frame and even punched through the photo. You're so childish. The stupid pig who played such a prank probably grew up eating uranium excess milk powder, right? Kyushu Cheng shook off the glass shards on his hand and disdainfully threw the photo frame to the ground. His eyes scanned the whole class with a cold expression and he questioned. Tell me, who did it? The classmates were all startled by him, unable to believe that this foolish bookworm could say such arrogant words, and his eyes were terrifying as if he was going to eat people. After just one golden week, how did he become so brave? What do you want us to do? At this moment, 3 boys stood up and walked towards him arrogantly. Kyushu sincerely recognizes them. The leader is a young man with a hooked nose who is 1.8 meters tall and has a large back, named Gao Xiuanji. One was a chubby little man with a fierce expression on his face, named General Tangzigue. The other one is Yurin Suzuki with yellow hair. Although private Shojin College may not admit truly bad students, there are inevitably a few problematic students. These 3 people are the thorns of their class, repeatedly appearing on the purge list of the discipline committee, and are also the most frequent and excessive bullies of Kyushu Cheng. Students will privately refer to them as the bad 3. It's really outrageous that we broke the return to school gift we gave you. Suzuki Huang Mao put his hands in his pockets and stared at Kyushu Cheng with a smile. Hey, what book is Ma Lucheng reading? The chubby Tang Zhe casually took Jojo Cheng's criminal law book and read it frivolously. Are you a fool trying to become a lawyer in the criminal law code? Speaking, the chubby Tang Zhe threw the book out the window. The books were scattered in mid-air, and the pages exploded like a heavenly maiden scattering flowers. A few students were startled by the commotion, but most of them pretended to be indifferent and hid by the side to watch the play. Anyway, everyone is watching. There's no need to stand out for this bookworm. It's better to become the silent majority obediently to avoid getting into trouble. Kyushu Cheng stared at the 3 of them, remained silent for a moment, and then murmured, is that the 3rd delinquent? Immediately after, Kyushu Cheng stood up as if preparing to leave the classroom. Hey, where do you want to go? The chubby Tang Zhe reached out and grabbed his shoulder, glaring at him and asked, you ruined the gift we gave you, won't you apologize? Kyushu Cheng shook off his hand and smiled calmly, there's still half an hour until class starts. I'll go to the park next to the school to get some air. Do you three want to come together? I'll apologize to you there. After speaking, Kyushu Cheng picked up an umbrella and left the classroom. The delinquent three exchanged a glance and followed out. There is a children's park next to Shojin Academy. At this time, the children have all gone to kindergarten, so the park is empty. The gatekeeper didn't stop them, just reminded them to come back for class on time and let them go. Entering the park, Kyushu Cheng leaned on his long umbrella with both hands and smiled at three troubled youths. Campus violence is not only a violation of school rules, but also a violation of the law. Kyushu Cheng asked, do you have any remorse for bullying me for so long? Humph, what are you pretending to be? De Bei Tu Gao Ji snorted coldly and pushed him forward. Gao Yuyuan was one head taller than Kyushu Cheng and had a lot of strength, so he quickly pushed the small Kyushu Cheng to the ground. The other two took out their phones and aimed them at the camera, saying proudly, apologize well to us, otherwise we won't be able to spare you. Kyushu Cheng slowly got up and asked again in a deep voice, are you really not at all regretful? Nonsense. Your bones are so hard today, I'll give you a good beating. The three of them rubbed their fists and gathered around with a mischievous smile on their faces. Takashi Genji took the lead and prepared to unleash a left kick on Kyushu Cheng. Kyushu Cheng's eyes, however, emitted a cold glow. He quickly lifted his leg and started by kicking twice in a row, hitting the opponent's knee with one kick and thrusting his vagina with the other. The kicking technique he used was similar to the volley kick in Jeet Kune Do, practiced to the point where he could smash a brick, and both feet hit the fragile parts of the human body. Oops. Gao Ziyuan fell to the ground with a painful expression on his face, convulsing and wailing, stupid bookworm. You bastard. The other two also swung their fists and charged towards Kyushu Cheng. But Kyushu Cheng clenched his umbrella and poked each of them fiercely in their stomachs. The two only felt a sharp pain in their abdomen, and both fell to the ground with no strength. The umbrella pointed at their liver and caused a critical blow, making it extremely difficult for them to breathe in a short period of time. The three of them were lying on the ground, feeling something very, even 9% wrong. How could Kyushu Cheng, a bookworm who studies hard, become so capable of fighting? Have you been possessed by evil spirits? After casually knocking down the three people, Kyushu Cheng walked up to them and coldly looked down, saying, you have been bullying me for so long, haven't you never heard of the campus bullying countermeasures law, promulgated a few years ago? According to the laws of Heiji, you should have reached the age of criminal responsibility long ago. Even if I sue you for this, it's not a problem. As the boss, Takatsuki Genji covered his knees and crotch and asked, so what? Kyushu Cheng smiled and grabbed Gao Yuyuan's hard hair, which had been waxed, and lifted his head. Do you know that over 400 cases of campus bullying and suicide are reported every year in this country, which is not a small number? Do you think one day, you will also become such murderers? What's going on? The chubby little Tang Zhe showed a frightened expression. Don't joke anymore. We're just playing around. Don't say it so seriously, Huang Mao Suzuki exclaimed in panic, don't frame anyone. I'm not a murderer. Just for fun. That's so easy to say, Kyushu Cheng smiled, a bit eerie. So I asked, do you have any concept of your own behavior at all? Do you know how much harm an unintentional joke can cause to another classmate? What do you want? The three of them took a cold breath at the same time. Don't worry, I am a law-abiding person who won't do terrible things to you, but I won't show mercy to you either. Kyushu Cheng shook his head and said slowly. I just want you to repent and educate you scumbags well. Kyushu Cheng let go of Gao Yuyuan's hair and waved a stick out of his umbrella. He said coldly, there is still time before class, and I will give you an ethics education class for 10 minutes to deeply reflect on your past misdeeds. During the ethics class, my umbrella will accidentally knock over the paint bucket and stain it with red paint. And you will accidentally fall more than 10 times during the class, causing your nose and face to be swollen. His tone gradually softened, but more and more cold sweat oozed from their foreheads. Looking at the extremely cold gaze of Kyushu Cheng, the chubby Tang Zei surrendered first, enduring the pain and kowtowing repeatedly. Don't. Ma Lu. Kyushu classmate, I knew I was wrong. I'll compensate you. Don't kill me. Give me my life. Please calm down, Kyushu classmate. Huang Mao Suzuki's face turned pale and he trembled in a low voice. Kyushu Cheng swung his umbrella, with a hint of ferocity in his eyes. Please don't blame me, the laws of the country seem to emphasize that whoever takes action first takes full responsibility. I should be considered as legitimate defense now. Wait a minute. Don't do this, Ba. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. 02 Kyushu Cheng, It's a Social Anxiety. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 202 Kyushu Cheng, It's a Social Anxiety. After the four of Kyushu Cheng left the classroom, the students also began to gloat and discuss. What's the madness of the bookworm? How dare it speak to the delinquent 3 like this? What's the matter with him? Angering the delinquent 3, he'll have to lie in the infirmary for a day. I am truly a bookworm, and I have engaged in such confusing behavior again. After a while, the class bell rang. The English teacher in charge of the first class in the morning walked into the classroom holding the textbook, and the students also returned to their respective positions. Is anyone absent today? The English teacher saw 4 empty seats in the class and asked with a stern expression. Sorry, we're late. Just then, the classroom door was opened. In the midst of everyone's gaze, Bad 3 and Kyushu Cheng walked in together. However, what shocked everyone was that the delinquent 3 was disheartened, with bruises and blood all over their faces. They walked with a limp and their clothes were also messy, like 3 dogs with broken spines falling into the mud pit. The big back head of Takashi Genji became even more scattered into a funny chicken coop head. On the contrary, Kyushu Cheng's body is very clean, as refreshing as a winner. It was just that the umbrella in his hand was stained with unknown red dye and smelled a pungent iron smell. Hey! What did you guys do? The English teacher was a tall and thin bald uncle with a stern face. We just went to the park next to the school to play for a while, and then they accidentally fell off the slide and got injured. Kyushu Cheng explained ambiguously, and then gave the third command to the delinquent, you also say a few words, don't let the teacher worry. Exactly. Unexpected. Please don't worry, teacher. The chubby Tang Zei quickly twitched the fat on his face, revealing a comical smile. That's right, unexpected. I won't touch that slide again in the future. Huang Mao Suzuki timidly glanced at Kyushu Cheng and then nodded and bowed. Only Gao Yuyuan stubbornly turned his face and stared without saying a word. So hurry up and get back to your seats, don't disturb everyone's class, the English teacher didn't care and urged. Sorry teacher, please wait a moment, said Kyushu Cheng politely. Immediately, Kyushu Cheng walked to the potted area behind the classroom and took out a mobile phone from behind the flower pot. Kyushu classmate, how did you put your phone behind the flower pot? The English teacher asked strangely. I had a sudden idea today and was planning to shoot a vlog for returning to school. So this morning, I secretly hid my phone behind a flower pot to record what happened in the class, and ended up capturing very interesting materials. Kyushu Cheng showed his phone screen to the teacher, which was a video of the classroom. However, please rest assured, teacher. I will obtain the consent of every student in the classroom before posting the video online, and it will definitely not infringe on their portrait rights. Well, hurry back to your seat. The English teacher urged impatiently, not caring about this young person's things. Next, let's talk about the word impart, which means to impart and inform. For example, teachers have to impart students. The first English class in the morning was quite interesting, but the students in the class were all absent-minded, and the classroom was filled with a strange atmosphere. Everyone's attention was focused on that bookworm. As the inner corner of the class, Kyushu Cheng is often ignored by his classmates as heir. That's why no one noticed him hiding a phone behind the flower pot this morning. When was it released? When he walked into the classroom? Or before he broke the frame? If this video is handed over to the school, the Parents Association, PTA, or even posted online without coding, they will definitely be condemned, and even warned and criticized by the school. Moreover, the scene when the four of them returned to the classroom was like Kyushu Cheng leading 3 dogs with broken spines. That is to say, Kyushu Cheng used special means to defeat the spirit of the bad 3 and completely conquered them. What did Kyushu Cheng experience during the Golden Week holiday? Why did he become so terrifying? This oppressive atmosphere persisted until the bell rang after class. After the teacher left, the students quickly turned their gaze to Kyushu Cheng, as if stabbing a samurai sword. Kyushu Cheng sensed everyone's thoughts and took out his phone first, asking, "Classmates, do you really care about this video recording?" Upon hearing this, some students' gaze became even more frightening. At this moment, a tall and handsome boy walked over. This boy is their class monitor, named Chongsho River. "Kyushu students, please delete the video immediately." "Hey, class monitor, don't you think you're a bit hypocritical?" Kyushu Cheng narrowed his eyes slightly and gave a smile of interest. "As the class monitor, when I was bullied, you hid next to me, and now you're giving me such a stern and righteous command. Don't shift the topic. This is a sneak photo act that infringes on our portrait rights. As the class monitor, I have the right to prevent you from making mistakes." Chongshu, the class monitor, frowned coldly and spoke with righteousness. "It seems that you still have some legal awareness," said Kyushu Cheng with a smile, "but you're wrong. The prerequisite for infringing on portrait rights is for me to post this video online or make a profit. I'm just planning to hand over the video to the school and the parent association. It won't infringe on your privacy." The squad leader of Chongshu was stunned and speechless. When the class monitor was defeated, a female classmate quickly used her gender advantage to speak up and said, "Kyushu classmates are so disgusting, they even secretly took pictures of us. What a rogue, pervert, terrible." As if finding the leader, another female student also agreed, "That's right, Kyushu classmate is really impolite. Maybe tomorrow we'll secretly shoot the women's changing room. Quickly delete the video." Other classmates also began to condemn Kyushu Cheng one by one, and the atmosphere in the class was as anxious as a furnace. Upon hearing that his classmates were united, the class leader Chongshu regained his courage and reached out to grab Kyushu Cheng's phone. "Look, everyone is troubled by you. Are you also a part of the class? Give me your phone and I will help you delete the video." Kyushu Cheng took the initiative to hand over his phone to the class monitor and casually said, "I have already stored this video on the cloud storage. Of course, you can delete it, but I have a backup." Upon hearing this, the whole class suddenly fell silent again, and the class monitor withdrew his hand in fear. Do you want to make everyone embarrass this group?" Captain Chongshu became excited. Kyushu Cheng stood up and ignored the class monitor. Instead, he coldly ordered, "Get out of the way, I need to go to the restroom." "Don't just let it go if you do such a thing." Chongshu, the class leader, became even more angry and frustrated, and even other classmates became emotionally agitated. "A bunch of garbage, you will only unite when bullying the weak and use collective as a pretext." Kyushu Cheng, however, bumped into the class monitor and smiled bitterly. "If this collective had just been willing to stand up for me, perhaps this video could have become your honor." After speaking, Kyushu Cheng walked out of the classroom under the angry gaze of the whole class. Damn it! We must find an opportunity to teach him a lesson, we can't let him be too arrogant. A few classmates cursed angrily. At this moment, Tang Zigui interrupted loudly, Please be quiet. Kyushu classmate asked us to give you a message. The students immediately turned their attention to the delinquent three in the back seat of the classroom. Huang Mao Suzuki spoke up and announced, Kyushu has said that he doesn't want to see any campus bullying incidents in the future, whether targeting himself or others. Otherwise, if he is in a bad mood, he will send this video to small path media reporters, public welfare network bloggers who want traffic, and child protection organizations, so that everyone's face can be seen nationwide until it becomes well known throughout Tokyo. Is he threatening us? Mr. Chongsho, the captain of the river class, was shocked and stared. Yuriko Suzuki's words were like a funeral bell for the end, causing the classroom to fall into a dead silence. Most of the students in this class are ordinary teenagers who live a normal life and are unwilling to cause trouble. They usually attach great importance to their social reputation, and targeting Kyushu Cheng is just a collective follow-up. If this video is exposed, even if they don't receive any punishment in the end, they will still be pointed at by people around them. Good friends will also start looking at them with disdainful eyes like, this guy is a bully, and no one is willing to interact with them anymore. Perhaps in the future, when they walk on the road, there will be good people shouting, bullies get out of Tokyo, making them unable to lift their heads. For most ordinary teenagers who value socializing, this kind of life is 100 times more terrifying torment than hell. Guilt, fear, anger. Perhaps every student has different emotions in their hearts. But they all understood the fact that a shaky sword of Damocles was already hanging over their heads. No matter when this sword falls, it will bring disaster to everyone in this class. Everyone can only live on in fear, ensuring that Kyushu Cheng is no longer angered, because he seems to really pull the whole class to self-destruct. Damn it, isn't Kyushu Cheng a cowardly social anxiety? Why haven't we seen each other for a week, and it's become so terrifying? Cute new book, seeking collection support smiley face before being put on the shelves, there will be double shifts every day at 12, noon and 6 p.m. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Will Japanese male guns dream of Wude youth? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 3. Will Japanese male guns dream of Wude youth? After using the restroom, Kyushu Cheng stood in front of the mirror on the sink, gazing at his mischievous self in the mirror. I didn't expect to be in such a miserable situation after traveling, fortunately I have superior skills, sighed Kyushu Cheng. In fact, the true Kyushu Cheng had already committed suicide during the Golden Week period, and now Kyushu Cheng is a successor. His name is Chen Jojo, and he is a young martial artist. He was born in the Yanhuang Kingdom on the other side of the ocean, and his hobbies include practicing martial arts and studying law. Chen Jojo was abandoned by his parents on the streets since he was young. Fortunately, a man who passed by saw that he was pitiful and kindly adopted him. That man is a professional martial artist who claims to have created a martial arts genre called unrestricted fighting. Chen Jojo followed his adoptive father to practice martial arts since childhood, and later traveled south and north with him, exchanging ideas with various martial arts schools across the country, and learning many scattered moves and techniques. Unrestricted fighting is a modern street fighting technique known for its simplicity and roughness. There is no magnificent fighting skills, nor profound inheritance, the core concept is only 16 words. No means, no matter what. All kinds of martial arts, but seek legality. As long as we can defeat the enemy, no matter how despicable the means are, we must use them. But no matter what, we cannot cross the bottom line of the law. In addition, his adoptive father also warned him that their martial arts can only be used to punish evil and promote good, save lives and heal injuries, never use violence or force to satisfy personal desires. Thanks to his adoptive father's guidance, Chinjojo has been jealous of evil since childhood and devoted himself to goodness. He had done countless acts of bravery and righteousness in his previous life, and ultimately died for it at the age of 24. 5 days ago, he traveled alone to Tokyo and happened to encounter a terrifying shooting incident. A thug carrying a soil shotgun indiscriminately killed people on the street, and the location of the incident happened to be the commercial street in Akihabara. As a famous pedestrian paradise in Tokyo, Akihabara has consistently high foot traffic throughout the year. In addition to local residents, groups of foreign tourists will also come to visit, and the number may even exceed that of locals at one point. Just walking on the street, you can hear no less than a dozen languages. In theory, shooting incidents would not occur in countries like Haji where guns are banned, so the people at the scene were all frightened. In addition, due to communication barriers caused by the excessive number of foreign tourists, the evacuation work was carried out very poorly. The police station was also disorganized and unable to provide timely rescue. After rescuing a little girl whose face had been scratched by shrapnel, Chinjojo watched helplessly as blood flowed down the wailing commercial street. He remembered his adoptive father's warning, martial men should punish evil and help the world. So he took advantage of the opportunity for the criminal to change the magazine, took out the screwdriver he carried with him and rushed forward to stab the other person 13 times, successfully subduing the criminal and seizing the gun. At this moment, the police arrived in time, but mistook Chinjojo for the perpetrator. Without hesitation, they fired several shots at him and then rushed forward to press his neck with their knees, arresting him. But it wasn't until the police officer handcuffed him that he realized the suspect had stopped breathing. Afterwards, Chinjojo crossed over and became a Tokyo high school student who committed suicide on the same day. Fortunately, he confirmed that he had not traveled to any parallel world. Yanhuang is still the same Yanhuang, and the country of harmony is also the same country of harmony. To this day, the television station is still constantly broadcasting news about him. Witnesses at the scene provided the media with footage of the incident, proving that it was Chinjojo, a foreign tourist who subdued the criminals and protected the public, but was ultimately shot and killed by the police. This matter seems to have become a major international topic. The media in the country of Watanabe have dubbed Kyushu as the great hero of the lone gun demon, praising his internationalist spirit and using this opportunity to angrily criticize the incompetence of the Tokyo police. The Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department also held a press conference overnight, where a group of elderly officials stood in a row like welcoming ladies in a clubhouse, bowing and apologizing, saying 3 words. Red Bean Mud Private Marseille. I heard that someone even erected a monument for Chinjojo in Akihabara, and several politicians pretended to visit. It seems that Yen and Huang also attach great importance to this matter, praising Chinjojo for fighting for the country's reputation, demonstrating extremely high national morality, and claiming to hold serious talks with the country of peace. But these farces have nothing to do with him now. He has already changed his body, and even if he suddenly jumps out and says he is Chinjojo's soul reincarnation, he is likely to be mistaken for a madman. After digesting his original memories, he learned that the young man's name was Kyushu Cheng and his background was very tragic. Due to family misfortune, campus violence, and loneliness, his parents disappeared without leaving any legacy, and there were no relatives willing to assist. The pressure of life was increasing day by day. Kyushu Cheng is in 2nd grade this year, and his dream is to be admitted to prestigious universities like Tokyo University or Tsukuba, get rid of poverty, and not become a useless person like his parents. But he couldn't bear the pressure, so he ended his young life. Despite the ironic ending of his past life and the fact that he had traveled through such a miserable child, Chinjojo did not regret his decision. He saved people and died, embodying his martial virtues. He defeated the gunman with bare hands, proving that his martial arts were excellent and he did not embarrass his sect. Although he harbored resentment towards his own ending, he also felt honored and somewhat regretful. He regretted that he died too early and did not have time to repay his adoptive father, nor did he promote his martial arts skills. He also failed to use martial arts to help more people and became a great martial artist like his adoptive father. Therefore, rebirth is a great opportunity for him. Even if things change and people change, even if he can't go back to his hometown, he still wants to continue his unfinished martial arts career and make his master's martial arts famous all over the world. It seems difficult to get into universities in the country of harmony, and I have already studied in Yanhuang in my previous life. After graduating from Shojin Academy, how about opening a martial arts school in Tokyo? In the future, I can return to China under the name of a martial arts master to recognize my master, and then help him retire and end his life well. This is the life goal he set for himself after traveling through time. Of course, this road should be difficult to walk. Before he comes up with his future plans, let's enjoy high school life and adapt to the new life for now. Ding ling ling. The class bell rang, and Kyushu Cheng left the restroom, ready to return to the classroom to listen to the lesson. He claims not to be a villain and prefers to show a refined and easy-going low profile in his daily life. But when facing the wicked, he becomes even more dangerous than the wicked. This is the iron rule he set for himself in his past life, following the teachings of his adoptive father. After Kyushu Cheng walked into the classroom, his classmates no longer had the arrogance they had before and turned their heads, afraid to look at him. The chubby Tang Zhe walked forward humbly, laughing like a messenger eunuch and said, "Brother Jojo, we have already delivered a message for you." "Well done," Kyushu Cheng preached, "but just call me my classmate. Don't call me big brother, it's like mixing up with society." "Sorry. Kyushu classmate." Tang Zhe nodded and bowed repeatedly. Heji country is a country with a strict social hierarchy system, which is imbued with the idea of respecting the strong and fearing the weak. The so-called problematic students are also like this. As long as they receive a beating, they will clamp their tails and obediently obey. Unfortunately, there are very few people who truly dare to punch, and most people do not have such strength and courage. Just as Kyushu Cheng was preparing to return to his seat, Tang Zhe leaned in his ear and whispered, "Kyushu classmate, I have something very important to tell you. Can you find a place without anyone to talk to at noon? What's going on?" "Actually, Teacher Jiangyao has long known about your situation, but she has been pretending not to know." End of this chapter. Chapter 4. 04 Teacher or Supervisor, this is a question. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 404 Teacher or Supervisor, this is a question. Jiang Niao's full name is Jiang Niao Rang Jizi, and she is the responsible teacher of their second-year class, also known as the homeroom teacher. However, many boys who are in the early spring period prefer her to be a supervisor, or teaching assistant, or other professions. Although private Shojin College is only a low-end private school, since the change of its chairman 2 years ago, it has begun a bold reform, striving to transform it into a key high school for further education. Kyushu Cheng is actually a specially recruited student who was admitted to the school with a full scholarship, with the aim of using him as a hardworking student to improve the campus atmosphere and set an example for other students. In this dilapidated private school, teacher Jiang Niao happens to be a young teacher who is full of ambition and initiative, and highly praised by the whole school. The class she manages has been rated as super class for 2 consecutive years, ranking first in terms of exam scores, attendance rate, discipline score, and club participation rate. It is said that she has been given special attention by the chairman and is expected to break the tradition of seniority in the workplace next year, becoming the youngest teaching director in the history of the school. And she also has a high popularity among students, making her the perfect goddess in the eyes of boys and a role model admired by girls. If someone claims that such an excellent teacher would condone campus bullying, everyone will definitely think that this is some unhappy person spreading rumors and slander. Please explain in detail and tell me the details. During lunch break, Kyushu Cheng called the third delinquent to the rooftop to inquire about this matter. Tang Zhe carefully scanned the surroundings and confirmed that there was no fifth person on the rooftop before whispering. Actually, there was a time before when we asked you for a friend fee, and it happened to be discovered by teacher Jiang Niao. Kyushu Cheng took a bite of rice and carefully recalled for a moment, remembering that there was indeed this matter. I almost forgot about it if you didn't say it. It seems like you've asked me for money a few times and even asked me to run errands and buy milk for you. Jojo Cheng instructed carefully. You can return all the money to me tomorrow, no less than a penny. Of course it will be returned. Yoshihiro Suzuki quickly put his grilled meat into a Kyushu bowl, afraid of making him unhappy. And we'll go buy you a complete set of criminal law books after school today. Then please do what you say. Jojo Cheng politely ate the grilled meat and ordered, Tang Zhe, continue speaking. Suck in, and that time, actually, teacher Jiang Niao happened to pass by the classroom door and saw us. Tang Zhe took a sip of udon noodles and said vaguely. We were scared at the time and quickly ran out to explain to the teacher. However, teacher Jiang Niao smiled and said to us, she will turn a blind eye. Kyushu Cheng put down his lunch box and asked with a cross eyebrow, why? She is a very excellent teacher, what benefits does this have for her? Humph, because she only cares about class ratings. As long as there are no casualties in the class, she doesn't care about anything. Gao Jingyuan couldn't bear to listen anymore and snorted coldly, saying. It's a shame that you've all been fooled around by that woman, thinking she's some kind of goddess teacher. Brother Yuan didn't lie. Yurin Suzuki twisted her yellow hair bangs and nodded in agreement. Teacher Jiang Niao told us that as long as we attend work on time every day and join a club by name, and pass all the exams every month, she won't report us. Because she is very worried that our students will lower the overall grade of the class, she used this matter to blackmail us. So, in order to maintain class ratings, the teacher is willing to sacrifice me. Kyushu Cheng glared and said angrily, what kind of teacher is there in the world? Kyushu students, please calm down. Tang Zhe was startled and his face trembled with fat. We have already told you everything. We will never bully you again in the future, please forgive us. Kyushu Cheng smiled slightly and stared at them. Of course, as long as you swear to be a good student and not bully anyone again in the future, I will naturally forgive you. Upon hearing Kyushu Cheng's promise, the three of them breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. After all, they had already experienced Kyushu Cheng's cruel methods in the morning, and their wounds were still slightly painful. Later, they witnessed Kyushu Cheng using videos to intimidate the whole class. Who would dare to provoke this ruthless demon again? But relying solely on your words, I cannot convict teacher Jiang Niao. I cannot retaliate against her without obtaining conclusive evidence, it is too arbitrary. Kyushu Cheng pinched his chin and pondered. So I want to design a trap that requires the cooperation of the three of you. If teacher Jiang Niao is innocent, she won't fall for it, and I won't make things difficult for her anymore. But if she falls for it, then wash her neck and wait for her. Hey, are you going to take action on the teacher? Gao Ziyuan, who has the best psychological resilience, was also startled and frowned. You're really audacious. Kyushu Cheng smiled and said, don't be nervous. I have always respected my teachers and values their values, and I have my own sense of propriety. The prerequisite is that she deserves the title of teacher. The class bell rang and everyone returned to the classroom. The first class in the afternoon was Jiang Niao's Chinese class, and Kyushu Cheng finally met this Xiao Jin goddess teacher. Teacher Jiang Niao is young and beautiful, with a melon seed face and a single fried dough twists braid combed into a side ponytail. It seems that his classmates will tease him as his wife's dangerous hairstyle. Her eyes were as gentle and transparent as a spring in a snowy mountain, and the movements of organizing lesson plans in her hands were swift and efficient. Teacher Jiang Niao's class is the most popular in the whole class. Her voice was cold and somewhat ethereal, and her teaching style was not rigid. Even Kyushu Cheng, a university graduate, admired her. When class was over, Kyushu Cheng left his seat and prepared to talk to teacher Jiang Niao to test her. After seeing him, teacher Kijiangnyo took the initiative to wave at him, as if he had something to say. "Hello Kyushu classmate." Teacher Jiang Niao and Kyushu Cheng walked out of the classroom and smiled, saying, "I was just thinking of talking to you." Kyushu Cheng suddenly became alert and asked, "Good afternoon, Teacher Jiang Niao. May I ask what's going on?" "Don't be nervous, it's just about the club." Teacher Jiang Niao squinted his eyes and smiled kindly. Excluding students with special physical reasons and those who have already registered for after-school work with the school, the participation rate of our classes club is now 92%. That means you are the only 2 students in the class who have not joined the club. Kyushu Cheng thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. Later, he showed a puzzled expression and scratched his head to explain, "But, teacher, you also know my family situation. I need to work after school." "Ah, I know." Teacher Jiang Niao nodded, but continued, "But you haven't registered your work information with the school, so in the eyes of the school, you are still a member of the home department. Heziguo encourages students to work and study part-time, and many parents intentionally do not give their children pocket money. All luxury goods have to be bought by working on their own. Of course, some students from impoverished families also use after-school work to support their families. However, work-study programs also have cumbersome regulations, such as not being able to work in casinos and cultural venues, having a limit on the number of working hours per week, not being able to work after 10 p.m., and having to register with the school. Kyushu Cheng, a poor student with no relatives, must rely on after-school work to make a living. But he has never registered with the school, so there is a hidden truth behind it. Sensing Kyushu Cheng's thoughts, teacher Jiang Niao chuckled lightly and said, "I know Kyushu classmates have difficulties, and the teacher won't make things difficult for you. But the teacher still hopes that you can join a club, even if it's just a name. Is it to increase the participation rate of the classes club?" Kyushu Cheng asked tentatively. "This is one aspect, right?" Teacher Jiang Niao's eyes were watery and full of goodwill. The teacher is mainly worried about Kyushu classmates. If you keep not registering your work information with the school or participating in clubs, you may be investigated by the school authorities. So you came specifically to talk to me and remind me to avoid trouble. Kyushu Cheng met the teacher's gaze and his tone gradually softened. "Teacher Jiang Niao, you are really a good teacher." Kyushu classmates are really good at talking. "I feel like you are much more outgoing than before." Teacher Jiang Niao also covered his mouth and smiled, then lifted his fair wrist to look at his watch and said, "Sorry for taking up your after-school time. I hope you can find a suitable club as soon as possible." End of this chapter. Chapter 5. 05 Hurry up and bring up the club segment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 505 Hurry up and bring up the club segment. I have already had contact with teacher Jiang Niao. After school, Kyushu Cheng and Bad 3 had a meeting on the rooftop. She is a very good teacher, at least on the surface. Impossible. She had already said terrible things to us that day. Tang Zigue will carefully recall, and her eyes were also very cold, especially scary. I will never forget it. It's been said that she's a hypocritical scumbag, and you've all been played around. Gao Chuyuan hugged his arms and said angrily. Judging from his anxious expression, he probably wanted to hurry home. So we will implement the plan tomorrow and figure out her details. Kyushu Cheng sighed. I sincerely hope she is a good teacher, otherwise I have to admit that she has excellent acting skills. So let's just end up like this today, right? Suggested Yuriko Suzuki. I want to go home early and play games. I just bought Wonderful Men 8 recently. Hello, haven't you cleared the level yet? Tang Zigue will complain urgently. Didn't you say you could finish it yesterday and lend it to me to play? I'm currently using the full level attribute of Snow is the true winter god and preparing to play the hidden challenge level. Wait a few more days for me, Yurin Suzuki defended. Wait a moment, I would like to ask for your help. Kyushu Cheng clapped his hands to catch their attention and asked, "Do you know what club name is?" "Oh, it's just hanging a name in an obscure club, but not participating in activities on a regular basis. This way, it won't be seen as a homecoming club by the school, nor will it be troublesome by teachers and student unions," explained Yuriko Suzuki. "You will be listed in the Legal Seminar Society, and I will be listed in the Light Music Society, both of which are unpopular clubs. Brother Yuan is listed in the baseball division because he is a key member of the school baseball team in junior high school. The Legal Seminar Society was originally a small club near the end of the ministry. Tang Zigue will also introduce, because I happen to be able to make up for the minimum number of members in the club. The minister made an exception and allowed me to join the department, but I don't need to participate in any club activities." "Hey, it sounds like very useful campus survival knowledge." Kyushu Cheng showed a look of admiration. "Do you have any recommended clubs?" Yuriko Suzuki took out his phone and opened the campus forum, showing a post to Kyushu Cheng. Mankai Society, Spiritual Research Society, and Nap Society. These three societies are currently on the brink of collapse and urgently need to recruit. They will definitely welcome you to register. It all sounds good, Kyushu Cheng thought for a moment, but are there any other options? Although it's just a name in the club, Kyushu Cheng also has his own pursuit. One of the key techniques he learned in his previous life was to legally and reasonably carry weapons with him. For example, his adoptive father specially obtained a car repair certificate, so that he can carry a large wrench with him so that he can help people repair cars at any time. Several of his senior brothers have also worked as decoration workers, carrying hardware tools such as screwdrivers and pickaxes with them to help people repair houses at any time. So Kyushu Cheng pondered whether he could legally and reasonably carry any weapons with him under the pretext of being a club member. In other words, after he pulled out his weapon and had a fight with someone outside, could he explain to the police that he carried the weapon with him because he was a member of a certain club in the school? It is obvious that none of the three clubs proposed by Suzuki are effective. If it's a bit rough, Kendo Club and Baseball Club are both good choices. One can carry a bamboo sword and the other can carry a baseball bat, all of which are legal weapons. But both of these clubs are relatively popular sports clubs, so he will definitely not be listed. Moreover, in the country of harmony, carrying a bamboo sword and baseball bat with you can easily be mistaken for a delinquent youth, causing unnecessary trouble. So in Tokyo, where the rainy season is frequent, an iron umbrella is the lowest and most legal long weapon. Speaking of registered clubs, I remember there was a club called Human Observation Department. Tang Zigue recalled something and said. That club currently only has 3 or 4 people, but it is said that the current president's father is one of the school's sponsors, so she made an exception and allowed her to establish the club. Human Observation Department. What is this for? Kyushu Cheng asked curiously. It is said that he constantly causes trouble for classmates in other clubs, and then observes and records their embarrassing reactions, earning the nickname, Studying Human Weaknesses. Tang Zigue will strive to think. I heard that their club has very few activities, and they only need to report once or twice a week. I'm super, what kind of alliance of musicians? Kyushu Cheng felt his scalp tingle when he heard this and quickly shook his head to reject it. No. Kyushu Cheng used to surf the internet frequently in his past life, and has entered well-known music enthusiast websites such as the Shinjin Emperor Forum, Swan Champion List, and Cyber Geisha Enthusiast Association, for further education, with the aim of improving his psychological qualities and satirical skills in combat. After years of hard work, he finally understood a philosophy of life. To stay away from happy people. Because once you have more contact with musicians, you will eventually become their joy. So this club is full of musicians, and he won't go no matter what. Otherwise how about going to the art club? That club is almost disbanded, Gao Chunyuan suggested impatiently. Unfortunately, it's all girls inside. You'll definitely feel very effeminate. Art Society. Kyushu Cheng suddenly became interested. What is this for? It should be paper cuttings or something. Yasuhito Suzuki shrugged and sighed. Because it is a very niche art genre, it is being suppressed by established art clubs such as the Comics Department and Painting Society, and there is no recruitment at all. Wait a minute. Paper cuttings. Kyushu Cheng caught the key words and said with golden eyes, that means they can use scissors. Yes, why are you suddenly so excited? Gao Ziyuan circled in confusion, is it because they are all girls? I'll go take a look now, see you tomorrow. Kyushu Cheng immediately picked up his backpack and left the rooftop without looking back. According to the Student Union's club bulletin board, Kyushu Cheng finally found the classroom of the Art Society. This activity classroom was renovated using a miscellaneous room under the stairs, so the area is very small. You can also see crisscrossing water pipes and electrical wires on the walls. 4 girls were sitting around a large table. Some were listlessly paper cuttings cutting, while others simply played with their mobile phones. Tian Heijiang said she wants to quit the club and join the basketball club, a girl casually said. Hey! Isn't there only 4 people left in our club? Another girl lay on the table dejectedly, Ada. This way, we'll be relegated to a fan club. Who said her favorite senior is in the basketball club? Another girl suggested, anyway, should we pull someone else? Hey, who would join our club? Or is the comic department next door more attractive? The girl who looked like a minister sighed, has the club that my senior entrusted me with finally come to an end? Dong 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 dong, the girls were discussing pessimistically when Kyushu Cheng suddenly knocked on the door and came in. Excuse me, everyone. Kyushu Cheng looked at the 4 girls and said straight to the mountain, I heard that your club is short of people. May I ask if I can come and put on a name? As if seeing a hero appear, the female minister immediately rushed forward and grabbed his hand, shaking it vigorously up and down. Really? Really? Classmates are really saviors. Oh my. So we don't have to waste our department. A burly girl raised her hand and cheered. Wait a minute, said another girl roast, but her face was also happy. After completing the application form, Kyushu Cheng asked, is paper cuttings your main activity? Well, paper cuttings is our specialty project. Last year, we were also responsible for making paper cuttings decorations for the school festival. The female minister stood up proudly. Kyushu Cheng picked up the scissors on the table and weighed them. The scissors used by this club are made of plastic material, but the head is very sharp, and with a little force, it can pierce into the human skin. Moreover, in the country of harmony, this type of artistic plastic scissors is not considered a regulated tool and it is not illegal to carry them with you, which satisfies Kyushu Cheng very much. Coincidentally, I know something about paper cuttings. Jojo Cheng picked up a piece of red-colored paper and cut it flexibly. Jojo Cheng learned the art of paper cuttings with a senior brother in his previous life. He is responsible for cutting the paper window stickers of the martial arts school every spring festival. 15 minutes later, Kyushu Cheng cut out an exquisite Chinese window sticker with a goldfish pattern. The 4 girls were all stunned, and the female minister blushed with excitement and screamed, Kyushu Jun is so amazing. This is already the level of a professional craftsman, isn't it? If there are necessary activities in the club in the future, you can notify me to participate. I won't show up at the club during the rest of the time. Kyushu Cheng picked up his backpack and prepared to leave. I really like the club's scissors. Can you take some with you? I will be a member of the art agency who loves the art of paper cuttings. Is it reasonable to take the art scissors with me? Hi. Of course, not a problem. Please use the scissors here as you please, Kyushu Jun. Our funds are still very sufficient. The female minister was already overjoyed at this moment, who would care about this small amount of money. Great. Let's guard the Scissors Society together. Art Society, everyone. Kyushu Cheng clenched his fists and made a cheering gesture, stuffing a few scissors into his pocket and leaving the society. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. 06 Tokyo Fantasy Village. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 606 Tokyo Fantasy Village. Leaving the school, Kyushu Cheng entered the nearby subway station and headed to the workplace. Poor people like Kyushu Cheng, who have no father, mother, house, or inheritance, have to work every day to maintain their basic livelihood, and even need to work overtime. The place where he works is Kamomo-cho, Shinjuku-ku, which is known as the Tokyo Wind and Moon Resort. As one of the busiest and most chaotic neighborhoods in Tokyo, Kamomo-cho is home to a large number of cultural industries. Even today, after the implementation of the Violence Group Countermeasures Law, there are still a large number of mafia forces occupying here. It's not dark yet, and the streets are already filled with the fireworks of the night market. The signs of neon lights flicker intermittently, and passers-by constantly search for bars and specialty stores. Beautiful girls dressed in maid clothes stand in rows on the roadside, distributing flyers. Tourists speaking foreign languages come here for a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. In the case, people use goblin-like greedy eyes to search for fat sheep. At the street corner, there are also college students performing on guitars singing the Japanese version of Fireworks Easy to Cold. Kyushu Shin made 7 or 8 turns in Kamomo-cho and stopped in front of a shop with flashing signs. Tokyo Wonderland. You can tell from the whole wall of handsome guy photos posted at the entrance that this is a bar with male PR services. Of course, Kyushu Cheng's job has nothing to do with male public relations. He is just a bar waiter responsible for doing odd jobs and running errands. After the death of Kyushu Cheng's parents, a mafia once came to collect debts. But when they saw the pitiful appearance of the young man, they felt pity and recommended him to work here. This is what is called the dog saw your appearance and cried all night, making 4 dishes and 1 soup for you. The store manager here is quite generous, giving him an hourly wage of 1,500 yen, while the average hourly wage in Tokyo is only 1,200 yen. Not only that, the store manager makes Kyushu Cheng work late every day before returning home, and his salary is paid by the hour, as if deliberately making him work overtime. However, in this way, this after-school work violates school regulations and cannot be registered and filed with the school. Kyushu Cheng also chose this job out of helplessness. If he were to work at a convenience store with an hourly salary of 1,000 yuan and according to regulations, he would have to choose between starving to death and dropping out of school sooner or later. After all, most students work for a living, and they work for survival. Entering the store, Kyushu Cheng greeted his colleagues and changed into waiter uniforms to start working. His daily work is nothing more than cleaning, helping to run errands and buy things, distributing flyers, and serving tea, water, and wine to guests. In fact, Kyushu Cheng himself is well aware that the store manager only let him work because he was pitiful. This job is not something he cannot do, nor is it worth such a high salary. Taking advantage of the limited number of guests, Kyushu Cheng took out cleaning tools and mopped the floor, wiping the tables one by one. Just as he was cleaning diligently, a young male PR with a clawed hairstyle shouted at him, "Hey, help me store this bottle of wine in the cellar." Before Kyushu Cheng could react, the male PR threw a bottle of red wine to him across the air. Kyushu Cheng didn't have time to pick it up, and the red wine bottle fell directly to the ground. Glass shards and red juice splattered all over the floor, dirtying his uniform. "Aren't you handing it over properly?" Kyushu Cheng wiped the red juice off his shirt with his hand and stared at him, questioning, "Are you intentional?" "I was careless. Fortunately, this bottle of wine is very cheap. You can handle it yourself. I'll go ahead and get busy." The male PR apologized insincerely and turned to entertain the guests. Kyushu Cheng stared at the back of the male publicist with a displeased expression, tightly gripping the broomstick. According to his original memory, he had experienced workplace bullying in this bar before, and the male PR just now was one of the perpetrators. This is also one of the reasons for Kyushu Cheng's suicide. The reason he was bullied was simple, it was out of jealousy among his peers. All the male public relations in the store are working hard to serve customers and earn money, thinking 24 hours a day about how to deceive girls. Moreover, the hourly salary of most male public relations is only around 800 yen, with the main income being consumption commissions and tips. Why can Kyushu Cheng earn an hourly salary of 1,500 yuan as a waiter, with a basic salary higher than these veteran core employees? Moreover, the former Kyushu Cheng was young and weak, unable to scold or fight back. He almost wrote the 3 words, "weak child," on his face, making him the most suitable type for being bullied. Fortunately, these male public relations officers are all adults, so they have a good sense of propriety in their actions. The so-called bullying is nothing more than deliberately tripping him up, or chewing on his back and saying something unpleasant. Compared to school, Kyushu Cheng preferred working in a store during his lifetime. Of course, Chen Jojo can't bear these workplace villains at all. Thanks to the kindness of the store manager here, he can also be considered a bystander. If it weren't for the sake of the store manager's face, he would go barehanded and educate all his colleagues now. Let's hold on for a while. It's working time now, it's not good to cause trouble, Kyushu Cheng whispered to himself, continuing to clean up. As the night deepened, there were more customers in the store. The air is permeated with the erosion of money, and the colorful flashing lights and melodious dance music seem to make people dream back to the bright foam prosperity era. However, all of this has nothing to do with Kyushu Cheng. His job is just to sweep back and forth between various desks and private rooms, while being bossed around by male public relations. "Hello, Xiaochun. Come here for a moment." Suddenly, a male PR with a hedgehog hairstyle loudly called out to Kyushu Cheng. In order to protect employee privacy, all employees in the male public relations bar will use flower names, even the servers are no exception. Kyushu Cheng's flower name is Harukawa, and colleagues will call him Xiaochun. "Coming, senior." Kyushu Cheng quickly put down his mop and ran to the table of the male PR. The hedgehog-headed male PR is entertaining a young woman. She looked around the age of 25, with long hair neatly tucked behind her head and dressed in a simple dress. For some reason, the woman curled up her shoulders and cried incessantly. The entire table had been littered with tissues and her eyes were swollen. "Senior, why did you make her cry?" Kyushu Cheng's face was surprised. Public relations bars are places where people come to relax and have fun. The main job of male public relations is to bring pleasure to customers, even using lies and alcohol to anesthetize them. In the male public relations industry, making guests cry is a heinous crime. "Ah. This customer is very difficult to deal with." The hedgehog-headed male PR poked the sharp corners on his head, showing an innocent look. "It's probably because he accidentally talked to her husband, so she cried non-stop. No matter how much he tried to persuade her, it was useless." "Ha! A married woman." Kyushu Cheng raised his eyebrows in surprise. "So, is this considered cheating?" Immediately after, the hedgehog-headed male public relations officer slammed Kyushu Cheng's shoulder and said to the young woman, "Sorry, Hui Meijiang, I have an urgent matter to leave. Can I let Xiao Chun accompany you next?" "Hey! I haven't agreed yet, have I?" Kyushu Cheng was about to complain a few times when the hedgehog-headed male PR ran away 3 steps in 2. "Oh, you're too irresponsible." Jojo Cheng cursed helplessly as he stared at his back. It is obvious that the senior male public relations officer noticed that this customer was both difficult to deal with and couldn't make any profit from, so he used Kyushu Cheng as a shield, while he himself peeled off his shell and went to find other fat sheep. This is also a form of workplace bullying, and it has occurred more than once. In Kyushu Cheng's memory, male PR colleagues often intentionally pushed poor and troublesome customers to him. In his past life, Kyushu Cheng happened to be a gloomy and socially fearful man who was not good at words. He was always in a state of anxiety and wanted to knock himself to death. Moreover, I am just a waiter and theoretically cannot receive guests. Kyushu Cheng suddenly felt the need to talk to his colleagues and teach them how to love the younger generation in the workplace. But before that, he couldn't let go of the crying woman. Every person in need of help feels like a pitiful and helpless self who was once abandoned on the street by their parents. If his master had given him a cold eye back then, he would have been dead on the street long ago. So, how do I call you? Kyushu Cheng and the young woman looked at each other for a moment, then mustered the courage to ask. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. 07 Criminal Law Fortune Teller. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 707 Criminal Law Fortune Teller, Huimei, Hinata Huimei, the young woman answered with a tearful tone. Miss Hinata, why are you crying so badly? Kyushu Cheng's tone of comfort was very harsh. Although he has been a person of 2 generations, he has almost no experience of deep interaction with the opposite sex and does not know how to use sweet words to please women. Miss Hinata lowered her head and pursed her lips lightly, as if she was too shy to speak. Realizing that the other party was concealing their thoughts, Kyushu Cheng also began to ponder. That male PR senior said she has a husband, and whenever she mentions him, she cries uncontrollably. Does that mean her husband has passed away? Although there was a guess in my heart, Kyushu Cheng did not intend to make it clear to avoid making a mistake and stimulating the guests. So he thought of a way and spoke kindly. To be honest with you, I have learned some divination techniques of Yan Huang. Can you please ask the guest to extend their hand? Divination. Miss Hinata curiously extended her right hand. Yes, I'll help you check your palm. Kyushu Cheng placed one hand against the other's palm and the other on the pulse of his wrist, then closed his eyes and silently felt it. Well, I can feel that you're troubled. You've encountered a big obstacle in life, and it's a human error. Kyushu Cheng said in a mysterious tone, feeling the other person's palm and pulse. In his past life, a senior brother who had served as a fortune teller once taught him mind-reading skills. When a person experiences intense psychological reactions, the muscles in their palms will uncontrollably twitch and their pulse will noticeably increase. The fortune teller will hold the guest's hand under the guise of checking the pulse and palmistry, and then take the opportunity to ask a few privacy questions, and judge the guest's reaction through the palm muscles and pulse. Kyushu Cheng wants to use this method to try to investigate the thoughts of young women. I heard you cried because of your husband, right? Kyushu Cheng gently pressed Miss Hinata's palm and pulse, and asked softly. As expected, Miss Hinata's palm twitched, indicating that she was right. Kyushu Cheng pushed forward the topic and asked in depth, did your husband have an accident recently? However, the next moment, Kyushu Cheng was surprised to find that Miss Hinata's palm did not move and her pulse did not change. What's going on? Am I wrong? Kyushu Cheng was greatly surprised in his heart. He looked up at Miss Hinata and found that she had no intention of nodding and admitting. Related to her husband, causing emotional trauma, but it was not her husband's accident, and she was too shy to speak up. Kyushu Cheng's gaze accidentally fell on Miss Hinata's collarbone and discovered a small scar that seemed to be scalded. Suddenly, a new possibility appeared in Kyushu Cheng's mind and he tentatively asked. Did your husband do anything excessive to you? As soon as the words fell, Miss Hinata's entire arm shook, seeming to react quite violently. Am I right? Kyushu Cheng frowned and looked seriously at Miss Hinata. Perhaps. Your husband has committed violence against you. After a while, Miss Hinata nodded reluctantly and said sadly, that's right. My husband hit me again, and he even burned me with a cigarette butt. In the country of harmony, the status of women has always been extremely fragmented. On the one hand, the society and laws of the country vigorously promote the legitimate rights and interests of women, almost to the extent of overcorrection. For example, if a woman accuses a man of impoliteness in public, even if the man stands 3 meters away and raises his hands above his head, he is likely to be convicted of sexual harassment by the judge and even result in social death. On the other hand, many women still face discrimination in both the workplace and at home. For example, the public has a high tolerance for domestic violence, and even believes that women should silently endure it after being subjected to domestic violence, and suing their husbands is a shameful behavior. Therefore, Kyushu Cheng can understand why Miss Hinata dare not easily tell others about this matter. Is that why you secretly came to our store to relieve stress without telling your husband? Kyushu Cheng handed Miss Hinata a glass of water, showing a concerned look. Drink some water, can you tell me the details? For the next 20 minutes, Miss Hinata sobbed and told her story. In summary, she was forced by her parents to marry a man with some money after graduating from high school, and had to give up her dream of getting into an art university and become a full-time housewife. And that man has always looked down on her, thinking that as long as he spends money to support his wife, he can easily beat and scold her, using her as a way to vent his anger. What do you think? Kyushu Cheng asked seriously with his hands crossed, do you think you should settle for your husband's financial conditions and so-called face, or end this painful marriage and live your own life? My thoughts. Miss Hinata chuckled bitterly, feeling lost in thought. What are you talking about? I don't have any ideas. There's nothing I can change. Kyushu Cheng retorted sternly, no, you have a way. Speaking, Kyushu Cheng took out a pen and a note, and closed his eyes again. Next, I will divine a way for you to survive, said Kyushu Cheng mysteriously. At the next moment, he wrote a long paragraph vigorously on the note, and soon tore off the note paper and handed it to Miss Hinata. This is. Miss Hinata looked at the note and her eyes suddenly trembled. According to the marriage law of the country of peace, spouses in marriage can sue for divorce under certain conditions. Although there are no explicit examples in the law, the conditions for prosecution also include violence that caused injury to the spouse. You can first collect evidence of domestic violence through methods such as secret filming and injury testing, and then consult with lawyers and judicial aid centers to sue your husband. Kyushu Cheng patiently explained the content on the note. Of course, if a woman wants to sue her husband, she will encounter many obstacles and may be stopped by her family. She is more likely to face her husband's retaliation. Therefore, when you take this step, you need to be mentally prepared to gamble on everything. But this is too extreme. Can I really do it? Miss Hinata showed a hint of retreat. I don't want to encourage you to do anything, just give you a possibility for the future. Kyushu Cheng's tone was very serious, without any hint of joking. My master once taught me that in my life, I must fight for it with my own hands, even if I lose my life for it. However, compromising on the status quo is not shameful, so the decision-making power still lies with you. Let's call it a day, Miss Hinata. I don't want to see you here in the future. Kyushu Cheng stood up and made a pleased gesture. Compared to men's public relations stores, law firms are the place you should go. Miss Hinata's face turned ugly and a bit ashamed. She stood up lonely, with a hazy mist in her eyes. By the way, my phone number is written on the back of the note paper. Kyushu Cheng put on a coat for Miss Hinata and said gently. If your husband continues to domestic violence you, you can call me for help. I will come over to help you and become your witness. Upon hearing these words, Miss Hinata's body shook for a moment and asked in confusion, why are you willing to do this for me? What stupid question is this? The boy's eyes curved into a bright moon and smiled naturally. If you haven't lied to me, it means you're being persecuted by others. For me, helping people in distress never requires a reason. End of this chapter. Chapter 808. To teach the elders how to love the youngsters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 808. To teach seniors how to love and care for them. After seeing off Miss Hinata, Kyushu Cheng continued to do miscellaneous work in the store. It's late at night, and many guests have been drunk. Today's business has come to an end. Kyushu Cheng passed by a drinking table and saw a guest girl leaning against the male PR with a clawed hairstyle, laughing drunkenly and saying, "Saint, I'm so happy today." "Hey, I'm glad you said that," said the male PR named Shinya, pursing his lips and asking, "Do you want to open another bottle of wine?" "Okay, just give me a bottle of Charolta's Red Bar," the guest girl pointed to the menu and said. Sheng also saw Kyushu Cheng standing beside him and ordered, "Xiao Chun, bring over the POS machine." Kyushu Cheng took out the machine from his pocket, while the guest girl also took out her credit card and swiped it. However, the POS machine beeped with a malfunctioning sound, indicating payment failure. "Hey! Has it already gone viral?" The guest girl covered her mouth in surprise. "Why don't we just forget about today? Then let's owe the debt first, dear. Can you make up for the money next time?" Xingyi hugged the guest girl and suggested reluctantly. However, this month's living expenses have already been settled. The guest girl appeared indecisive. "Hey, don't worry. Just treat it as your birthday today and indulge a little to celebrate, okay?" Xingyi intensified his attack and kept muttering in the girl's ear. As he spoke, Saint also handed the girl an accounting sheet. "Don't hesitate, dear," Saya said meaningfully. "Look, the guests at the other tables today also wanted to name me over, but I refused them all and stayed with them, dear." The girl trembled as she held the pen and slowly pressed the tip of the pen to the signature position on the accounting sheet. "Miss, don't force yourself." At this moment, Kyushu Cheng whispered, "Spend money within your means. It's not loving you to make you spend too much." The girl's wrist shook as if waking up from a dream, and she released the pen in her hand. "So, should we just forget about today?" The girl looked at Shinya in embarrassment and said, "If this continues, I won't be able to pay rent this month." The girl stood up with an embarrassed expression, ready to leave. "Darling, at least let me take you home." Shing also stood up, trying to persuade him to stay. "No need, I want to be quiet." The girl pushed away the male PR and ran out alone. "Xiaochun, what are you doing?" Xingyi turned his head and glared at Jojo Cheng, his voice serious and angry. "Don't disturb my work, stinky little devil. I don't want to interfere with you, but the customer is already out of money. It's too much for you to squeeze her, right?" Kyushu Cheng calmly confronted with his arms clasped in his hands, "Although I know your job is to earn money from women, you also need to have a tolerance and not ruin her normal life, right? What do you know? Damn little devil." Xingyi was completely angry and pointed at him, cursing loudly. "Even if she doesn't have money, what's wrong? I will introduce her to work and pay her back. Are you saying there's a custom store that acquaintances know next door?" Kyushu Cheng frowned and became gloomy. "And you can still earn a personal commission by introducing her in, right? I remember the store manager said it's best not to do this, otherwise it will cause trouble for the store, right? It's none of your business, stinky Xiaochun." Xingyi threatened, "You dare to harm my good deeds. I can't spare you. Coincidentally, I am often taken care of by my seniors and have always wanted to find an opportunity to repay you." Kyushu Cheng rolled up his sleeves and remained steadfast. Upon hearing the commotion, other male PR members gathered around and asked, "What's wrong, Saint?" "Xiao Chun drove away my guests," said Xingyi with resentment, picking his chin. "What are you doing, Xiao Chun?" A tall and thin male PR walked up and rudely pushed Kyushu Cheng. "You waiter, don't interfere with our work." The hedgehog-headed male PR also stirred up the fire and said, "It's also this kid who made Hui Mei sauce cry today. I think we should let the store manager get rid of him." The male public relations stared at Kyushu Cheng with hostile eyes, which made him quite unhappy. Anyway, these seniors have been bullying themselves in the workplace for a long time. Instead of continuing to be so lukewarm, it's better to kick the open door and speak frankly. I'm going to the small alley at the back door to blow some air. You guys should calm down, too. Kyushu Cheng grabbed an umbrella and then bumped open the shoulder of a male PR, walking straight towards the back door. He wants us to follow him, the hedgehog-headed male PR asked curiously. Absolutely provoking us. The tall and skinny male PR frowned and thought. Anyway, the camera on the back door is broken long ago. I want to teach this kid a lesson. Xingyi clenched his fist and walked towards the back door first. So, 5 male public relations officers followed Kyushu Cheng to the dim alley behind the bar. Chunchuan, go to hell. Seiya swung his fist and fiercely smashed it into Kyushu Cheng's face. However, Kyushu Cheng put on a boxing dodge and avoided the opponent's attack. Bang! He kicked Saint Ye's knee and threw him to the ground. Seeing the situation not going well, several other male PR members also attacked. Kyushu Cheng was at least a martial artist in his past life, and he also assisted the police in several anti-gang operations, which involved dealing with gangsters. On the other hand, although these male public relations figures can be called social figures, they have not undergone professional combat training, their movements are exaggerated and their bottoms are floating. In Kyushu Cheng's view, they are simply a group of innocent and childish puppies, without any deterrent power. Kyushu Cheng easily dodged their attack and gave them a hard kick in weak areas such as their knee or liver. Within a few rounds, the male PR members fell to the ground and howled. Kyushu Cheng walked up to Seiya and grabbed his collar, questioning him, "Do you really dislike me?" "Of course I hate you. Why are you doing such an easy job and earning such a high salary?" Xingyi cursed and said unwillingly, "Why? Just because you're an orphan." The colleagues in the store actually know about Kyushu Cheng's family situation and know that the store manager is secretly taking care of him. Even so, they can't help but envy Kyushu Cheng. How can someone like Kyushu Cheng, who has no business ability, get a higher basic salary than them? Just because there's no father or mother. It seems that the conflict between us is irreconcilable. Upon hearing this, Kyushu Cheng raised his eyebrows and smiled helplessly, feeling relieved, which made Seiya's spine cool. "I admit that I was able to work here thanks to the kindness of the store manager, and it's understandable that you think I got something for nothing. That's why I've been enduring not to have any conflicts with you during work hours just to save face for the store manager and you. However, I won't just endure it." Kyushu Cheng raised his umbrella and his gaze gradually became fierce. In his pitch-black pupils, there was a wild wolf about to emerge. "Don't you wicked guys know you've committed the crime of workplace harassment?" He swung his umbrella and fiercely stabbed Saint Ye's stomach. Guh. Xingyi opened his mouth in pain and retched, "Chunchuan. How dare you?" For those of you who don't know how to respect the younger generation or the guests, it is necessary for me to make ideological corrections to you and not allow you to harm others anymore. Kyushu Cheng's tone was very calm, but it was like a volcano that could erupt at any time, so calm that it was chilling. "Next, I want to reason with you, well. After all, it was you who provoked me first, so all of this is self-inflicted. Don't have any complaints." 10 minutes later, Kyushu Cheng threw his umbrella and coldly ordered his colleagues. "I don't want to stop you from making money, but I also ask you to leave a way for your customers to survive. Your greedy appearance is not even worth it to me. Also, I am a weak man who is very afraid of workplace violence, so I hope everyone can get along with me well in the future. Do you understand?" At this moment, a male PR lying on the ground, covered in dust, shouted unwillingly, "Chunchuan. Don't think about this matter like this. You wait for me." After thinking for a moment, Kyushu Cheng walked back and swung his umbrella fiercely, stabbing the male public relations officer in the stomach. He let out a strange scream in pain, almost coughing up his internal organs. What does it mean to stop thinking like this? Are you going to retaliate against me? Are you planning to call a group of thugs to teach me a lesson? Kyushu Cheng reached out to grab the hair of the male PR, took out plastic scissors from his pocket with the other hand, and stared at him with a sinister gaze. I am timid and afraid of retaliation. Since you are speaking for this reason, I have no choice but to leave you alive. Kyushu Cheng pressed the art scissors against the face of the male PR and asked, oh, by the way, do you have any family or friends? I'm also afraid they will retaliate against me, so I will visit them someday. I. Upon hearing this sudden and terrifying statement, and seeing the nearby scissor blade, the male PR suddenly realized that he had said the wrong thing, feeling a chill on his spine and his throat struggling to breathe, instinctively gripping his legs. At this moment, he only felt that Kyushu Cheng's gaze was 100 times more fierce than the several brothers on the road he knew, and there was no joking element in his words, as if he was about to stab scissors in the next second. He didn't even realize that his trousers were all wet, and there was a sound of water dripping from the hem. Other colleagues lying on the ground also looked at him with pleading eyes, gesturing for him to quickly surrender. The male PR quickly stuttered and defended, I was joking. I won't tell the store manager about this, nor will I take revenge. Please. I know I was wrong, please forgive me. Really. So, for the sake of the store manager, you all saved your lives. Kyushu Cheng loosened the hair of the male PR and put away his scissors. I just want to work here safely and steadily, not to offend anyone, not to cause trouble for the store manager, and not to bear the crime of murder after eliminating a few social disasters. Do you understand my difficulties? Kyushu Cheng walked away, leaving only the male public relations lying in a mess in the alley, clutching their bruises and struggling like insects, constantly moaning in pain, with only the fear of surviving the disaster in their eyes. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. 09 Teacher, let me see how many faces you have. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 909 Teacher, let me see how many faces you have. At the end of the day's work, the clock pointer is approaching 12 o'clock. Kyushu Cheng changed his work clothes, greeted the store manager, and then went home alone. Kyushu Cheng felt that he had been a bit harsh on his colleagues today, and his tone of voice was also a bit heavy. But some people are born with lowly bones, and the more they tolerate them, the more they progress. They have to endure a lesson before they can speak well. Of course, Kyushu Cheng won't kill anyone just because he has been bullied in the workplace. Saying, kill you, to his colleagues is just a threat warning. He is a law-abiding and law-abiding citizen who is working hard to learn the laws of his country, and not a law-abiding fanatic. Colleagues will probably not bully themselves again in the future, as long as this goal is achieved, it is enough. Moreover, when Kyushu Cheng beat people up, he deliberately avoided the faces of his colleagues. At least they didn't need to come to the business tomorrow with a swollen pig head, and it didn't cut off their financial path. Kyushu Cheng's rental housing is located in the residential area of Kumomo-cho. Although Shinjuku's housing prices are among the top in Tokyo, the apartments rented by Kyushu Shinjuku are less than half of the market price. The reason why this rental house is cheap is not because it has died or been haunted, nor is it because the landlord suddenly awakened to some kind of landlord system. Finding top-notch tenants can make it stronger. Although it is nominally a rental house, this is actually just a miscellaneous room on the rooftop of an apartment. After learning that Kyushu Cheng was looking for a cheap house, the landlord transformed this unused miscellaneous room into a living room and let him stay. The entire miscellaneous room is probably only the size of a living room in a regular rental house, but it can also be called a sparrow, although small, with all 5 organs. It has water, electricity, a bed, and a kitchen stove. He has been living in this capsule apartment since his parents passed away. Before going to bed, Kyushu Cheng took out a pen and paper and organized his plans for tomorrow. He will set up a bureau tomorrow to expose the true face of teacher Jiang Yao. The next day at noon, Kyushu Cheng and Kwa-san arrived at the rooftop to discuss the battle plan. The students on duty after school today are Tang Zhe and the class leader of Changshu. Kyushu Cheng took out a plan sheet and said. Don't go home after school, let's wait with me in the restroom. Humph, whatever you want, Gao Ziyuan hugged his arms and snorted helplessly. Although he always looks rebellious and unruly, he is ultimately afraid of being beaten and can only obey orders. The cleaning is over, and Tang Zhe asked the class monitor to come and check with teacher Jiang Niao. Kyushu Cheng continued. At this point, let's go back to the classroom together, and then the three of you pretend to be bullying me. Hey, do you want us to bully you again? Yuriko Suzuki gave a frightened look and muttered, how dare we touch you? You don't have to do anything to me. I'll lie on the ground then. You just need to pretend to act and talk to the teacher. Kyushu Cheng ordered. Then, the phone I had hidden in the classroom would capture teacher Jiang Niao's reaction. It sounds like a trickster show. Tang Zigui roast. This is not a prank show. As a victim, I just want to know the truth. Kyushu Cheng took a deep breath with a solemn expression. Teacher Jiang Niao, I want to see how many faces you have. After school, the students gradually left the classroom to participate in club activities. Tang Zigui and class leader Changshu will clean the classroom without saying a word. The two of them didn't have much intersection, so there was nothing to talk about. After cleaning, Tang Zigui instructed, go and call teacher Jiang Niao to come and inspect. It seemed that he was worried about an accident, so he quickly emphasized, you must call teacher Jiang Niao to check, do you hear me? Got it. The class leader Changshu scratched his head strangely and left the classroom. Tang Zigui quickly took out his phone and nervously sent a text message to Kyushu Cheng. After a moment, Kyushu Cheng came to the classroom with two other people. This time, Kyushu Cheng chose to hide his phone on the ceiling fan and stick it with tape. He opened the timed video and lay down on the floor of the classroom. You act like a little more, don't cut corners, Kyushu Cheng instructed. The delinquent San reluctantly stepped forward and surrounded Kyushu Cheng. Teacher, please come and check. After a moment, the class leader Chongsho River came to the classroom with teacher Jiang Niao. As soon as the two of them entered the door, they saw this impactful scene. Ma Lu Cheng. You've trampled on the floor I just cleaned. Tang Zigui will shout angrily in a stick-reading tone. It's really causing trouble, you guy. Gao Ziyuan stomped his foot hard and complained stiffly. Apologize to your esteemed general quickly, hello. Yuriko Suzuki also squatted down and cursed fiercely. For those who didn't know they were acting, the current scene in the classroom was like, Bad 3, reprimanding Kyushu Cheng and pushing him to the ground. The class leader of Changshu stared in surprise and said, how could you? Kyushu classmates be here. However, teacher Jiang Niao was still chuckling lightly, as if she wouldn't show any expression beyond a light smile. Changshu, you should go home first, teacher Jiang Niao whispered. Okay, teacher. Class leader Changshu quickly picked up his backpack and left without hesitation. There are only 4 students and the homeroom teacher left in the classroom. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first. Teacher Jiang Niao stared at them for a moment, then casually instructed them to turn around and leave. Don't play too much, after all, you are classmates. Wait. Teacher Jiang Niao. Looking at the back of the homeroom teacher leaving, Kyushu Cheng reached out his hand and loudly called for help. Help. They are bullying me, please make the decision for me, teacher. Teacher Jiang Niao pretended not to hear, not even looking back. Dumb bookworm, don't expect someone to save you. Yuriko Suzuki pretended to spit, the teacher already knows, she doesn't care about you at all. Immediately after, Yuriko Suzuki turned his head to look at teacher Jiang Niao and loudly said, that's right, teacher. Don't say such things in front of your classmates, teacher Jiang Niao nodded with a cold tone. But as an exchange, you promised my request before and will do it, right? Of course. Attend on time every day, register with a club, and ensure passing the monthly exam. It will definitely not affect the teacher's performance evaluation. Tang Zigue will raise his thumb and say in one breath, "Is this our deal with the teacher? Then please abide by the agreement." Classmates. Teacher Jiang Niao left the classroom and closed the door. Teacher Jiang Niao. Kyushu Cheng deliberately shouted at the top of his lungs, but received no response. After Teacher Jiang Niao left, Kyushu Cheng stood up, took off his phone from the ceiling, and checked the video recording. "You performed well, you could go to a drama club," Kyushu Cheng said in praise of 3 people as he stuffed his phone into his pocket. Tang Zigue touched his chest and said nervously, "I was so nervous just now, I'm afraid I might reveal my true feelings." "Yeah, my heart is also thumping." Yuriko Suzuki collapsed into a chair and smiled, "This is too exciting. I never dreamed I would do such a thing to the teacher." "Humph, your psychological resilience is really poor." "I'm not nervous at all," Gao Zhuyuan chuckled disdainfully. "Brother Ming Minjuan has the least lines, so he still has the right to mock us," Yurin Suzuki sighed and complained. "What are you saying? This is my first time acting." Takashi Genji suddenly frowned and glared, scared Suzuki Yoshihito, and quickly hid behind the table. "Speaking of which, what are Kyushu students planning to do?" Tang Zigue will ask again, "Do you want to submit the video to the Parents' Federation or post it online?" In this way, Teacher Jiang Niao will definitely cause trouble. Yurin Suzuki nodded in agreement. "Maybe there will be joint complaints from parents. Of course I want her to pay the price, but it's not using this kind of fish to death method." Kyushu Cheng shook his head and his gaze became profound. "Besides, there are also the 3 of you in the video. If I leaked the video directly, wouldn't it involve you too?" "Ah. You're right too." Yuriko Suzuki showed a worried expression. "But don't worry, I have experience in video editing and can blur your face and voice." Kyushu Cheng changed the topic and suggested with a smile. "Compared to this, how about I treat you to dinner today? I don't have much money on me, but treating you to Yoshino's house for beef rice is still enough. Kyushu students want to treat us to dinner." Yuriko Suzuki became genuinely anxious and uneasy. "Let's just forget it. How could you be so embarrassed?" Faced with the generous gift from Kyushu Cheng, the 3 of them were somewhat timid. After all, the 3 of them bullied Kyushu Cheng for so long before, who knows what he's up to. "It's okay, you helped me, it's appropriate to treat you to dinner." Kyushu Cheng put his hands on his hips and showed an open-minded smile. "It's my rule to repay friends' help. If you don't agree, I'll be the one who's in trouble." "Friend. Is that right?" Yoshihiro Suzuki suddenly froze for a moment, then smiled and scratched his head, awkwardly compromising. "I'm really talking to myself, but Kyushu's classmates would be impolite if they didn't go for this." "Oh. Following Kyushu classmates is very promising, and there is also beef rice to eat." Tang Zigue drooled eagerly. Gao Ziyuan was unhappy and glared at his companion, asking, "Are you saying that if you hang out with me, you have no future?" "However, Brother Gao never invites me to dinner." Tang Zigue immediately hugged his head with both hands and humbly replied, afraid of being beaten. "Don't be angry, Brother Yuan, let's go together." Yurin Suzuki also patted the former big brother on the shoulder and comforted him. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Teacher, please don't rush yet. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Teacher, please don't rush yet. The next morning, the office of the chairman of the private Shojin College received an anonymous report letter. Respected Mr. Chairman. In the past 2 years, private Shojin College has been implementing large-scale reforms to enhance the school's overall academic performance, while also giving birth to many excellent teachers and students. I deeply admire this. But recently, I have discovered that there is an undeniable evil behavior in this school. And those so-called excellent teachers only care about grades and ignore the physical and mental health of students. In an excellent school, Top-notch academic performance and strict school discipline complement each other and are indispensable. If Shojin College wants to become a key private school for further education, such prestigious teachers may become a stain on you. I look forward to your decision. An anonymous parent. The letter received by the chairman also included a USB flash drive with only one video inside. In the video, 3 students who have undergone facial and voice blur processing are bullying a thin, black-haired teenager. However, teacher Jiang Niao, who witnessed everything, only said, "Don't play too much," before leaving, and even admitted to the transaction between himself and his students. During lunch break, teacher Jiang Niao was summoned to the office of the chairman. "Excuse me, chairman." Teacher Jiang Niao gently knocked on the door 3 times before pushing it in. Elegant and orderly in every move and gesture, making it impossible to spot any flaws in etiquette. "Please sit down," the chairman spoke in a deep voice. The current chairman of Shojin Academy is an mature man with a straight suit, a 3 or 7 cent hairstyle, and black framed glasses. It is said that when he was young, he traveled to various countries around the world, learning about different educational cultures and concepts. Therefore, he was knowledgeable and ambitious, with sharp eyes like hiding a falcon. Teacher Jiang Niao noticed the oppressive atmosphere and didn't speak much. Next, the chairman turned the computer screen and handed the video to teacher Jiang Niao to watch. As expected, after watching the video, teacher Jiang Niao's scalp went numb and his face no longer had the usual composure, and his fingers couldn't help but tremble. How could? Teacher Jiang Niao was stunned for a moment before quickly apologizing with a smile. "Is this what happened yesterday? How could it be? Someone must be falsely accusing me." The chairman crossed his fingers and interrupted in a low voice, "Teacher Jiang Niao, instead of explaining to me, why not go and explain to that whistleblower?" Teacher Jiang Niao rarely showed an expression of composure, his eyes shaking back and forth with unease. Teacher Jiang Niao's teaching level is excellent, and the academic director often evaluates you like this to me. The chairman stared at her like an eagle targeting prey, with a hint of mockery in his tone. "But I didn't expect that teacher Jiang Niao's teaching policy would be so special." Teacher Jiang Niao finally couldn't bear the direct gaze of the chairman and quickly stood up, bowing and apologizing. "Red Bean Paste Private Marseille. I have done an unforgivable thing, please give me a chance to save it, chairman." "Do you know, teacher Jiang Niao?" The chairman raised an eyebrow and asked in reverse. The whistleblower did not submit the video to the Parents' Federation or the news agency, but instead sent it to my office. "Do you know what this means?" "This," teacher Jiang Niao puzzled, "does he want to handle it privately?" "That's right. Our school values talents like you, and it's impossible to dismiss you just because of this small matter, so it's equivalent to tacitly allowing me to keep things hidden." The chairman nodded and handed the report letter to teacher Jiang Niao. "I guess he doesn't want to make things worse, he just wants to warn you. Does he want to give me a chance to reform?" Teacher Jiang Niao pouted and guessed awkwardly. "So you must handle this matter properly, teacher Jiang Niao." The chairman supported the table with both hands and his tone became meaningful. "Although our school focuses on improving academic performance, we also have zero tolerance for moral issues on campus. I won't comment on what methods teacher Jiang Niao uses to educate students. But at least you can't cause a scandal and tarnish the school's reputation, can you?" The chairman's lecture is right. Teacher Jiang Niao bowed repeatedly, and his forehead became sweaty. "I will reflect seriously. I hope you can solve the problem as soon as possible and comfort the students." The chairman made a gesture of seeing off the guests. "If you can't handle it well within a week, then the position you plan to promote this year will have to be assigned to other capable teachers." Teacher Jiang Niao's whole body was stirred up and he nodded in panic, "I will definitely handle it well. Please rest assured, chairman." After speaking, teacher Jiang Niao was worried and ran away from the chairman's office. After returning to the office, teacher Jiang Niao was restless and began to bite his fingernails non-stop, even spending more than an hour correcting the homework book that was supposed to be completed within half an hour. Who is the one who secretly filmed the video? Teacher Jiang Niao kept thinking about this question, and a hint of anger rose in his heart. Yesterday, there were only 3 students present, the class leader Chongshu and Kyushu Cheng. The reaction of the Chongshu River squad leader at that time was very surprised. It didn't look like he was acting, it was obviously an unknown person. It is impossible for the third delinquent to intentionally capture videos of themselves bullying classmates to frame themselves. The main culprit can only be Kyushu Cheng, who is a victim. But she knew that Kyushu Cheng had a cowardly personality and could never do such a bold thing. Could it be Kyushu Cheng's parents who discovered that he was being bullied at school and instigated him to take secret photos and collect evidence? Oh, I'm sorry, he doesn't have parents and is impolite. Teacher Jiang Niao was puzzled, but when the class bell rang, she could only get up and go to class 2 in the second year to teach. During the lecture, she always focused on Kyushu Cheng and was absent-minded. She found that in this young man, he was still studying hard as before, as shy and quiet as before, and it was completely unimaginable that such a person would have the courage to secretly take pictures of the teacher. After class, teacher Jiang Niao left the classroom feeling lost and uneasy. Just as she passed by the restroom, her ears caught the conversation between the 2 students. Hey, what are we going to do? Kyushu Cheng is using that video to threaten our entire class. Well, looking at it better, we were both sitting in the corner of the classroom at that time, so the video shouldn't have captured us, right? Suddenly, teacher Jiang Niao's inspiration flashed and he quickly walked up to the 2 students, showing a warm smile. 2 students, have you encountered any difficulties? After exchanging glances between the 2 students, one of them decisively defended, it's okay, teacher Jiang Niao. We're talking about anime. After all, how could it be said that the whole class bullied a corner student and was instead threatened by them? But you said Jojo Cheng. Teacher Jiang Niao asked relentlessly. It's not Kyushu, it's Kyujo. The protagonist's name is Sitaro Kanjo. Ha ha ha. Another classmate quickly smiled and made excuses. Upon seeing this, teacher Jiang Niao did not continue to inquire further. But she was not a fool, and a terrible conjecture had already sprouted in her heart. Kyushu Cheng. Is it really you? She murmured to herself on the way back to the office. End of this chapter.